Welcome to the Washdown Podcast, episode 87. And tonight's guest is Captain Paramedic Brent Fenton. Brent has been in the fire service for 19 years, married for 12 years, 4 kids. Oh, and he just happens to be Firefighter Fenton with close to 1 million followers on social media. We had a great time shooting this episode, learned a lot, and I hope you guys will too. I hope you enjoy watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. So without further ado, here is the Washdown Podcast, episode number 87 with Brent Fenton, also known as Firefighter Fenton.
Oh yeah, there it goes. Yeah, it's hard. Like I just want to start talking.
Well, it's timing. Well, yeah, I mean, anyway. Brent, hey, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how are you?
Fantastic. Those dang time zones. I mean, they get tricky.
Well, and you guys don't
do.
Even one up. You guys don't do daylight savings either, right?
We never change, yeah. So I'm always like, sometimes we're 2 hours, sometimes we're 3 hours, some places we're 1 hour, so I don't ever know.
Well,
yeah, I remember I went out there on a motorcycle trip and it was like, they're like, we don't recognize daylight savings. I'm like, you guys are so ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Oh, dude, whenever I go to, so I have family that lives in Indiana. That's where my dad grew up. And there's, I think, 1 or 2 counties there that don't do daylight savings time. So how jacked up
really?
is that? Yeah. I'm just going to go over here to the Walmart and it's an hour later. Like, what?
Yeah.
Well, sir.
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, we know you as Brent, but most people on the internet know you as who?
Firefighter Fenton, the guy with the obnoxious mustache.
It's so beautiful.
It is epic.
Yeah.
So epic.
I am quite offended that he's not wearing it right now.
Well, I mean, I will tell you that like the accent that you use and everything on your videos is like, I would have never guessed that you were from out west. I would have totally been like, he's from the East. Maybe he's not like there now, but I mean, he's been there.
It's clutch. Just screams job town.
Yeah.
It was inspired by a captain that I had that's from New Jersey, and you don't hear that his accent much, but when he would get pissed off at us, we'd call it going dad voice, and he'd pull his dad voice out, and thick accent would come out. So.
Nice. Well, why don't we start with how did you get into the fire service, and then move on to the social media thing after that?
Yeah. So I actually come from a family of police officers. So I was actually gung-ho to be a cop all through growing up. My dad's one of four boys. Him and 2 of his brothers were cops. My dad and one of his other brothers were Phoenix PD for over 25 years. And then, I was gung-ho to do that. And then towards the end of my dad's career, he kind of had some unfortunate events. His best friend was killed. One of his officers was killed on his squad, like right after he became a sergeant. And he was just like, he's like, literally what he said was, I'm not going to your funeral. You go on a ride along with some buddies that I have. And so some of his childhood friends worked for Phoenix Fire. So I did a ride along with them. And I always call it like the ultimate bait and switch, because it was like don't get me wrong, the job is amazing, but what I experienced was not the norm. Like the captain, he let me ride 24 hours, which was cool. And we had car wrecks with extrication, we had shooting, stabbings, and then we had at like 2 a.m. we got punched out to a structure fire, and as we pulled up on scene, it spread to the neighbor's house, and I'm watching these guys kick in doors and pull lines through and disappearing into smoke and ladders going up and cutting holes in roofs. And I'm just like, this is it. And so I started testing for the fire department, and I got hired at 21 and never looked back.
And then they said, here's an ambulance.
Yeah. And then I got in there and I'm like, wait, we're running fall injuries and
like, what's this nursing
man
home?
Down? Yeah, exactly. Nursing home. Wait, man down? Oh, this is just a drunk guy on the sidewalk. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So that's why I say it was the bait and switch.
Oh yeah. I think they get all of us that way. Yeah.
So,
Well, what, how long have you been a firefighter now?
So I've been on about 18 and a half years. I hit 18 in March.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Nice. I hit
So
my 18 in July.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm probably in it for
He's got more
another
time than
18
you. You
and a
better
half.
watch your mouth.
It's all right.
Yeah. My 6 months. Yeah.
It matters. It matters.
I only say 18 and a half because I'm in the planning stages right now. So I know that because like I have 4 kids and my youngest is 3. And I'm like, I'm probably going to stay another 18 and a half just because out here we can max out our pension at 32 years and then we have the drop. So then I can drop for 5. And that puts me right at 37 years total, which is, so I'm smack dab in the middle of my career, basically.
Oh, yeah. I always said 25 and out, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, because we max out at 32 too. So,
right.
But 25 is not so bad.
Yeah.
Where did Firefighter Fenton come from?
You know, I always enjoyed, as a kid, I always enjoyed comedy. I love making people laugh. And my dad is like, he's my role model. He's like the funniest guy I know. And so we started, I just would always hear people, say, man, you're funny. Oh, dude. And then I get on the fire department, cracking jokes on the table like we do, whatever. Guys are like, dude, you missed your calling. And I would hear that like so much, start to question, like, did I miss the calling? Should I be doing something else? And then like social media kind of came and my department does a banquet every year. And I made a video for that banquet because those nights they're fun, but they can be stale. And so I made a video as kind of a comedic relief, and it was a music video, and it was the "My Knee Hurts Now" video, which I made. That was the first music video parody I ever made, and it's about the system abusers. And I did it to Lady Antebellum's "I Need You Now." And
I remember it was great.
That was back in 2011 when I made that, and it blew up like overnight. Blew up. Woke up the next morning, it was well on its way to 1 million views, and then it created a bunch of drama. Had to take it down. It went back up. Had to take it down. So now the video that's up there now is like the 3rd release of it.
Copyright
but
issues?
It's all over the place. It was more
people's feelings.
There was
well,
I was contacted from there was different locals that called and were like, dude, we're out here, killing it, trying to save our pensions, and it's making us look bad or whatever. And there's another large organization here that called and basically said the same thing. So I took it down. And then my fire chief called and was like, why did you take it down? And I told him, and he's like, look, the only people that we care about is our board. And as long as they don't say anything, throw it up. And so left it up. It's been there ever since. And it's funny because then the following year I made another video and that one took off. And those same organizations that were calling me about the first one to take down were calling saying, hey, we're interested in having you do some videos for us. Maybe from a comedic side, we can use some stuff, politically. And I was just like, hey, but it's funny, one, if I was interested, the price went up because last year you didn't want anything to do with me and it was an embarrassment. Now it's to your value. But so I just said, you know what? I'm not going political. I want to make people laugh. I have a good time. And at that point I was Throwback Productions. And then it wasn't until I didn't really capitalize on that momentum. It wasn't until 2018 when I started doing more consistent. And that's when I changed the name. At first it was Throwback Productions. And then I changed the name to Firefighter Fenton in May of 2019.
Cool.
So, it just,
that's cool, man. It's funny how, going political, you're going to piss 50% of the people off, regardless of what you do. So,
Why not be funny and piss everybody off?
Yeah.
Exactly, right? I make fun of everyone, myself included.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it might be a little bit of a lost art, or at least less accepted or whatever. There's It is 2022.
How much busier do you find yourself,
Yeah.
obviously, in 2011 for a video? You want to make a funny video, you're probably looking at YouTube, maybe Facebook. Now you've got YouTube,
Right.
you've got Facebook, you've got TikTok, you've got Instagram. How much more busy do you find yourself trying to balance the different social media sites and still keep your content out there?
I definitely, and it's funny. I hit the ground running like 2018. I really just kind of turned it up. I got kind of challenged by a guy. I don't know if you guys follow Fireman 323 or not, but Scott, he runs that page. He had reached out and said, "Dude, I really think he just reached out one day randomly and said, "Hey, I've been following you ever since my knee hurts now, dude." And he's like, "I really think you're missing the boat. I think your videos are funny. You should try being more consistent." And I was like, "Oh, I'll try some short form stuff." So I tried some shorter form stuff. It took off, but yeah, definitely with the multiple platforms. I was burning the candle at both ends for a long time, and then when I started, I had no kids. Now I have 4. So that's been.
You know how that works, right? Like how those.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Not anymore. I'm good now, but but yeah, it definitely became a challenge, just balancing all that, career, family, marriage, and still putting out relevant content. And so I still do it now. I used to try and put out different content on each platforms. Now I kind of just put them all out there. So you'll find more longer stuff like on YouTube and things like that. But for the most part, across the different platforms, it's pretty much the same content, which is kind of cool because I get to see the different demographics across those platforms, and some of them are larger than others. So it's cool just to see what works, what can kill it on one platform, won't do hardly anything on the other, and it's just that target audience.
Well, and you've had an interesting time too, especially with hitting the ground running, like you said, in 2018. In the last 5 years, 3 of those years have been COVID. And so
Yeah.
it's our industry has definitely seen its fair share of burnout and exhaustion, and it's
For
nice
sure.
to have that comedic break. But at the same time, like with my knee hurts now, it's not false. Like,
Right.
what you poke fun at is sadly kind of the reality of what our service is. And and if it allows the civilians to kind of at least see it in a comedic standpoint, then maybe they'll, hey, my knee hurts. Well, don't call
Yeah.
the ambulance. Remember that video that one guy did?
Yeah. That's the coolest thing is like, I just kind of felt like, like there's a lot of monotony. You guys know it. We run the same calls day in and day out, and sometimes it can wear on you. And like you said, like a lot of the calls we run as well aren't the greatest calls. We see some pretty terrible things, and that can cause burnout and all kinds of different things. And so like we deserve to laugh too. And I'm not making things up or like poking fun at the average person that calls 911. I'm just highlighting things that happen every single day, pulling the comedy out of the situations that drive us insane, and just making it lighter for, I always say my platform is a place where guys can escape, that monotony. Like you're not going to see videos of watch this guy do CPR on this child, like we've done that. Nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants to do it again. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And so this is always going to be an escape where you can laugh. And I don't care what it is. A lot of times it's firefighter stuff, but sometimes I post stuff that's just general life, dad stuff, where, or, parents, whatever, I try to hit every single person just to find a place where, whether it's a firefighter, a spouse, their family, friends, like you said, the public who gets that peek behind the curtain, just kind of see what it's like and laugh.
Well, and two, every firefighter isn't just a firefighter. They're a husband or a wife or a mother or father, so yeah, of course, all those other videos outside of that just gives more humor and gives us that break even from work.
Right.
So
definitely.
Are you going to do a dad joke edition since you got 4 kids now?
Oh man. Yeah. So I do stuff with so I work also with Fire Department Coffee, and we kind of have like a dad joke, series of videos that we've been doing. But oh yeah, I'm never above a good dad joke. I mean, my kids probably hate them, but I love the dad joke.
how old are all your kiddos?
So I have they're 8, 6, 4, and 3.
You got that's a future ladder company you got right there.
Well, yeah, I got 2 boys. The oldest and the youngest are boys, and the 2 middle are girls. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'll do a video just early like on the job training.
Oh man,
that's a great idea.
Have his 3-year-old operating the stick.
Oh yeah, that's what I told him. I'm like, you guys are preparing for station life right now with all the people in our house.
That's no joke. Just wait on the bathroom. It'll be available in a while.
Oh yeah.
It was chilly night.
Yeah. Hey, you're the newest one here, so pick that up. Yeah.
She's 3, Brent, and she needs to learn.
Yeah.
Hey, what you do in the first 6 months of your job, that follows you around for the rest of your career. That's how you earn a reputation.
Exactly. Your reputation started day 1, pal.
Yeah.
And what's cool, and we had the guys on from Fire Department Chronicles, which is Blast Jason, and one thing I like about both you guys, kind of going back to what I said, this last 3 years have just been shitty. Like there's no way around. It's been a 3-year ride on the ambulance, and it doesn't get any better. But and so many times we've this podcast is about mental health and first responders and law enforcement and EMS and nursing and it's nice. We've talked about so many different treatment modalities on the show, anywhere from EMDR to just you name it. But I think the one we forget the most is comedy and just taking a break from things. And it's important. It's huge. Like if you can't laugh about it, then you're in the wrong career.
Right, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I just think laughter is so vital in every aspect of life, and especially like this. It's just such a way to, down to the chemical levels in your brain of the things that it releases and all that stuff. It's just vital. I think laughter is vital in everywhere, whether it's vital in leadership, it's vital in a family setting, in all that stuff. So like, that's what I always say. Like when I say with the family setting, I'm like, as dad, I'm like the CEO of fun. So, and I feel like I need to be that as well. Like, cause I'm also a captain. So like, the attitude of the crew reflects my leadership, and we like to have fun, but we also know our job and we get the job done. So, but it's a fun environment.
Yeah. How long have you been a captain?
I've been a captain I just got promoted in January. So January 3rd is when I got promoted. I've been acting for like 7 years before that. Just off and on. Took a test, got number 5. They promoted 4. So I was the bubble boy. That sucked. And then, just kind of, I think everybody's been there. So, but yeah, I got promoted in January, and it's been great. So
what was that mindset change for you, going from I'm the free guy in the back of the rig to, oh shit, I'm in charge of you assholes now? What was that kind of like for you?
That's the biggest thing for me. The biggest shift is, I'm a working boss, but I need to remember that, because like for basically almost 18 years, I was in that worker bee firefighter mode, doing just hands in, getting into everything. And you got to kind of pull back some as the supervisor and watch the crews. And I remember it was one of my first shifts. We had a call, and I found myself 3 seconds into the call, like I'm just moving, getting after things. And I look over, and we had a probationary guy, and he's right there with me, but he's not doing anything because I'm doing it. And then in that moment, I took a step back. I was like, here, man, grab this. Cause I realized there's multiple companies on scene, and they see me working and him not doing anything. And I'm like, that wasn't his bad. He was trying to, but I took that from him. So I made him. Yeah. I'm like, it was like mind shift right there. Like I can inadvertently, without even meaning to, make him look bad, even though he's not bad. And so, yeah, I think that's been the biggest change, just because I think I had been in a leadership role as like the senior firefighter for years. So, you're kind of that unofficial leader in the crew, that go between the captain and the less senior guys or whatever. But definitely, obviously, everything now falls back on me. If things don't go right, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's my fault, like,
yep.
But definitely the biggest shift for me was because I don't want to feel like oh, I can do that. I don't want to be a turd that's not working, but like it's not my job now. I got to make sure I got to watch the whole scene and everything else. I think that was the biggest transition for me.
Dude, I went through the same thing whenever I got promoted. I'm the hands-on guy and I'm the do things guy. And yeah, that was one of the hardest things, was to step back and let the firefighters do their jobs because I have a job to do.
Because
exactly
one of the first few calls I ran with you, when I was like, "What are you doing up here?"
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's your patient. I'm like, "Well, what are you doing on this porch?"
Yeah. My engineer. Yeah, I got a great engineer, and I remember we were on a call, very similar situation. He's all, "Bro, what are you doing?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's all, "Chill." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "We got it, dude. You don't need to be in here doing this. Like, we got it." I'm like, "All right, yeah." Like, and he's like, and he was exactly right. I'm like, "Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you guys know your job and do it."
Gave the puppy dog you don't need me anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I walked off the front porch like, damn it, he's right. It's
Yeah.
the only time I'll ever say that about James. But yes,
exactly.
he was right.
Yeah.
What are some of the things, like with your leadership styles in regards to mental health? What are how have you learned to kind of watch over your crew and check in with them? And what are some of the things you and your crew utilize to kind of keep each other in check and in balance?
We just, I guess, like, we really just kind of, for me, what I noticed is I just have gotten to know each person, kind of what makes them tick, and recognize when somebody's off or somebody's different. I think my department is pretty good as far as being open about things, and like we have a pretty solid peer support program, and that's pretty good in the Valley in general in Arizona. But I think, like I said, we do a lot of stuff together, like all crews do. So I think we're constantly our families know each other, our wives know each other. So there's a lot of talking going on as far as spouses, things like that. So if somebody notices something about somebody, it's a pretty open environment in our culture, at least within our station, that we can straight up just like, "You good?" And guys be like, "No, I'm not good," or I'm fine, I'm whatever. My wife and I just had an argument or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's as far as, I wouldn't say that there's any like set written thing out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just think that we've built a good culture of just, we genuinely care about each other. And I think, like, because I think that I can't say that's 100% for me, but I like to invest in my guys. And so we do regular like family days at the station, have their families up, everybody's involved, everybody has a good time. We like to do stuff off shift, just things that build that camaraderie and that bond between each other. That's more than just in the firehouse, more than just we're not just work acquaintances, we're like genuinely friends.
Are you seeing, you talked about down in the Valley with all the, you're probably the biggest department in your area being Phoenix, and then all the other satellite departments around like yours. What have you noticed? Is it a regional thing? Are you seeing more mental health education in the academies around there, or is it still kind of on the different departments?
No, so there's a large network that so like in the Phoenix metro area, we have what's called the automatic aid system, and there's like 28 departments. We're all part of it. We all have the same SOPs. We go to the same training facilities. We like, closest fire truck goes the emergency, regards jurisdiction, all that kind of stuff. So we train the exact same way. So in the academies, we get that there's the peer support team, or they call it Fire Strong, will come and just talk about mental health, cancer prevention, things like that, just kind of general overall wellness. And they get resources of where they can go to, who they can reach out to. And each individual department has a peer support team, and they know who those members are in the department, so they know that they can reach out. It's all confidential. And when we get new people coming in from the academy, when the recruits come into our departments and they get there, we set up, we do a lot of in-house training, like how to be successful, like within our general department. Because, each department, same job, but the cultures are different among different departments. And so we will sit them down and they're well aware of all the resources that are out there.
And that's something kind of with ours. We do in our metro area too. We do like the auto aid, but for us, there's only kind of a couple departments that have their own academies, like you get hired on, but then the rest are usually like community college based. You have to have all your certifications to apply type
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
And that's where obviously I think when you're on a college curriculum, you're trying to get done, some of those things can kind of fall through the cracks versus a department based,
Right.
academy system. So that's why I was curious about that.
Yeah, there's 3 regional academies, and it just depends on, timing as far as like what academy, because we send guys to, there's like a Glendale public safety one, there's the Phoenix public safety, like there are those regional academies. So then they're city based, so they're not through the colleges.
Okay.
So yeah.
That'd be nice. Not profit driven, at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've talked about that in this area for years of having a little bit more cohesive, in the
Right.
metro area of, this department having the same SOPs and, all that stuff. And it just hasn't come to fruition.
Well,
So,
and even with departments are as large as us, and we have 35 stations and different stuff. It's each station has their own protocol versus.
Yeah. Well, and that goes
Sure.
back to, what you were talking about, the culture that you have at your station. I mean, with a larger department, you may have that culture at one station on one shift, and then it could be completely different, every other station in the city. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
One of those things. But yeah, I do agree 100%. It does reflect on your leadership, though, that you've been able to foster that kind of culture there.
Mm.
Well, and like you said, like just the stuff you do even outside, just creating that brotherhood to where the comfortability is there to just be like, hey, bro, what's up? You're off, or being able to recognize when they're off, or just feeling comfortable to come to you and say something isn't right.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is I'm an open book, probably sometimes to a fault, so I talk about everything, if I'm struggling with something, I tell guys, or if I don't know, like, I'm not afraid to say, I don't know. But I'm also, I work towards learning all the time. And so like, that's the kind of culture that I foster, especially with new guys. When I get, probationary guys and stuff like that, I'm like, look, if I ask you something you don't know, just tell me. Like, my crew knows. And I told my crew, if somebody says they don't know, we're not going to get on them. Be like, are you freaking kidding me? You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole point. Yeah, that's the whole point. Exactly. Like, that's the whole point for their probationary period and all that stuff. Like, learn that stuff now when we're not on calls, when we're in trainings. Fail here. This is the time to do it. So that way we set you up on that trajectory for your career. And so, yeah. I'm just open about, dude, everything. Like, whether it's family stuff, stuff that I'm learning as a supervisor, stuff that I've learned over my career. I've had failures in my career, and I've told them stories about failures that I've had in my career, and just share with them, especially, or when I see guys that have, I feel like a broken record when I tell guys, like, look, you're not the first, you're definitely not going to be the last, and it can always be worse.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So how did you get hooked up with fire department coffee?
So, dude, like, years ago, it all kind of started with me and Jason. So like, years ago, me and Jason kind of hooked up, dude, a long time ago. He had seen my Knee Hurts Now video. I started seeing his National Geographic stuff that he was doing really early on. Messaged him, like, dude, you got some funny stuff.
Before he got the cease and desist.
Exactly, before he got the cease and desist, yeah. And I was like, dude, we should collab, and just kind of, life's busy and things like that. It just kind of never happened. And then when I started being much more consistent in like 2018, we would start making videos here and there together. And then it was at the end of 2019. Jason and I had been talking pretty regularly, and he said, hey, man, I want to throw something out there, see if you're interested. And he's like, I'm the vice president of Fire Department Coffee, and Luke Schneider, he's the president. He's like, him and I and the other guys with Fire Department Coffee think that you would be a great fit with us, and we'd like to invite you to come on board with us and see what we can do, and we all saw like the power. A lot of that came from like the platform Vine, all those creators that are huge on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Now, a lot of that came from the platforms that they created from Vine, and those guys just amassed large followings because they were all collaborating. And me and Jason were like, it just makes sense. Like, we make the same kind of content as far as like our demographic that we're reaching out towards in our target audience. And why not just put our heads together and just make some good, really good, funny content that we can put out and sell some coffee along the way. And everybody loves coffee and everybody loves comedy. So it just made sense. And so they invited me on. I came on in 2020, and it's been great. So.
Well, that's what's interesting about you and Jason is like, yes, you guys make the same content, but they're completely different. Like, you cannot do what he does, and he cannot do what you do. It's so interesting how it can be completely different individuals, but still have the same content. It's fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what. Yeah. Exactly. We love like it's really fun when we can get together and bounce ideas off each other, because I'll think of something, be like, I think this is really funny or whatever, and he'll be like, dude, that is funny, but you could do this. And then we're like, oh my gosh. And then we're both belly laughing, writing stuff down like, this is funny. Or he'll do the same thing. Hey, I've got this idea. He'll call me. I got this idea. What do you think about this? Is there anything else you could think of or add? I'm like, yeah, you could throw this out. Oh yeah, it's a good idea, whatever. So it's a good relationship where we can just collaborate, bounce stuff off of each other. We're both like-minded in that sense. And we just want to put out funny stuff. Yeah.
Well, I think you're both succeeding at that. So.
Have you found any like famous TikTok cops to pick on yet, at least?
Oh man, there's been so many, I bet that's been kind of cool. Is like, I've made some really cool relationships with cops that I've met from Facebook. Actually, one of the first guys is a guy named Aram Cho. He's 911 strong. Awesome dude. But Aram, him and I, he was actually like the first person that I collaborated with, and I had like 300 followers, and he was like, dude, your stuff is funny, we should collaborate. And this guy had like, at the time he had like over 50,000. I was like, you want to collaborate with me? And he's like, dude, I don't care if you have 1 million or one. If it's funny, it's funny. And so we collaborate. He's just an awesome dude. He's out in El Monte, California. So, yeah, I've connected with him, and Mike the cop, Officer Daniels, all those guys, and it's been cool. We have that banter back and forth, and we've been collaborated on some stuff, and so it's been cool. That's awesome. It's a cool community of social media, creators.
So what's next? Do we have a Fire Chief Fenton in the future? What's your career goals moving forward?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I actually just think about that often. I'm the PIO right now, as well as engine captain.
Of course you are. And you don't have any hair on your balls if you don't wear your mustache during those news interviews.
It's fun. Dude, that's one thing, man. I start to, whenever I make PSAs or stuff like that, I start to see the comments pop up, Firefighter Fenton. I'm like, oh boy. I'm starting to see those worlds collide, and it's random people that recognize me like, where's this guy's mustache? I'm like, oh, here we go. But I'm really, really enjoying the company officer role. I love being a captain. It's a good spot. I got a long career ahead of me. I mean, for now, that's the plan for now, but anything can happen. We'll see what the future holds, but I don't know, man. I've thought about going like higher, but every single chief that I've talked to is like, stay a captain. Stay a captain. The biggest mistake I made was leaving the company officer role. And I'm just like, there's some wisdom in that. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know how your department is, but the pension between captain and chief, the difference in the pension is pretty significant. So, I mean,
oh, really?
Yeah. So last couple of years, who knows? I might even take the test.
Yeah. So for us, how ours works is do you guys do so ours is like, we have it's a rolling 36-month period. You get like at 32 years where we max out, we get 80% of the average of those 3 years, the 36 months.
So we do 2 years, but it doesn't include
multiplier 2.5.
Yeah, something like that.
Because you're 25 and I'm 27.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically at 25 years you get 67.5% with a max of 80 at 32. But whatever you were talking about, like when you add your years on, We don't do that. We're basically giving money back to the city after 32 years for us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Same thing with us. Yeah. But yeah, it's just however much you make, the average of your annual income, those 3 years is what your percentage is going to be based off of. So if I killed it like this year, next year, and the following year, and then just kind of chilled the rest of my career, whatever I did in these 3 years, when I retire at 32 years, I'm going to get 80% of that.
Nice.
Dang. That's pretty nice. Ours is
y'all hiring?
They take away, like, if you have specialty pay, if you're on, a rescue or a squad or whatever, that goes out the window. It's whatever the base pay.
Oh,
Wait, I
really?
don't get
You will not get your squad incentive or rescue
I
incentive.
don't get my rent.
Not on your pension.
All those years of training for nothing.
And if you work overtime, it doesn't matter either. It's your base pay.
Oh, yeah. See, ours, it's all your specialty pays. Like, cause I'm a medic, I'm a hazmat tech. I'm also on our wildland team. So whenever we go out on wildfires, like we'll go out for 14-day deployments, and you can kill it on those deployments, and all that is pensionable. So
it seems a lot of the firefighters that I've seen interviews with or seen on podcasts from Arizona, Utah, out west out there, a lot of them seem to have started as wildland firefighters and then moved into city. So
I have no interest in it. Like, they're like, hey, we got about 10 billion thousand acres burning. Here's a shovel. No, that's dumb. No. I don't know how you guys do
it. I love camping, and I love being out in the woods and camping and hunting and fishing. And I mean, you do none of that on wildland.
I love all that too, as long as it's not on fire.
Wait a second. I've done a little bit of wildland firefighting, and it was not like camping at all.
But you do get to go see some beautiful parts of the country. Granted, they're all burning. But you get to go see some beautiful parts of the country you would otherwise have no reason to go to. But I just love getting out there, being out in the woods. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, we have a team, and you get deployed, and there's a rotation. So you're not going out on every single fire. So you look at these rotations, and it can be amazing 14 days, or it can be terrible. It all depends on who you're going out with. I think that's safe. Say same thing with like being on shift. This is going to be a good shift, or this is going to be a rough day. It's the same kind of deal. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I like it. I enjoy it. I would. I'm not a hot shot. Those guys are crazy.
Yeah.
So like the hot shots, those are the guys that they'll freaking hike 30 miles with a shovel, sleep on the dirt, but they get after it and they get the job done. And they do. I mean, those guys are the real deal. We go out and we have a truck, and occasionally we'll hike away from that truck, and we have like, a piss pump on our back or whatever, and some hand tools. But we just have different, objectives. A lot of times we'll go out and do structural protection, things like that, especially when we're on the trucks. Like in 2017, I went to Napa Valley, which was incredible. So went out there. That fire was gnarly, and it ripped through some mansions. It was easier to count the ones that didn't burn than the ones that did. But like, that was just seeing parts of the country I'd never seen, and just, I drove a Type 3 fire engine through San Francisco, which was sketchy, but also cool that I could say I did that.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Surprised they didn't have you just spraying the streets out there.
Yeah, right.
Well,
yeah.
Remember, we're not talking about politics.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just talking in facts. I'm sorry.
Oh man. So what's next for the Firefighter Fenton channel? What do you got in store? Or any big teasers?
Yeah, I took a long hiatus from making like the music videos that I did, and I just kind of recently put out one. So there's gonna be more of those coming. I think that was the biggest thing that people love the most that I make is I love music. That's actually how my wife and I met, was doing music, and I love to kind of intermingle all those worlds of music and comedy in the fire service, and being able to make I love to ruin people's favorite songs. So when they hear their songs, they're like,
He
I
ruined
can't
Little Drummer
unhear
Boy
your
for me. He ruined Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah, exactly. So people are like, man, when I hear Lady Antebellum's My Knee Hurts, or I Need You Now, all I hear is My Knee Hurts Now. And I'm just like, so
Mission
yeah,
accomplished.
I'm going to continue. Exactly. I'm going to continue to create that content. And, I enjoy, like I said, obviously I have 4 kids, so I'm kind of kicking around the idea of doing some kid specific content, because a lot of people talk about, man, their kids love to watch my videos, but I want to do some kid specific content, like educational content, but also the parents could watch and not want to bash their head against the wall, because it would be funny for everybody who's watching it, but the kids can actually learn something. So
yeah, that would be nice, because one of my nephews is 3, and oh man, it's some of the stuff that he loves to watch is like, okay, Uncle Jeremy's just going to sit there and just, because you love it, buddy.
Yeah.
I gotta know,
for
how does your probably saint of a wife tolerate you with just
she is.
like, do you put on, like, when she's yelling at you, do you put on the mustache to stop the argument? Like, just make it like,
yeah, I'm like, calm down, moron. She's like, oh, really?
Here we go again, boys.
Yeah, she is a saint. That is exactly it. And she's my biggest cheerleader. She's the one that definitely keeps me the most grounded. Reminds me that I am just an idiot on the internet that wears a fake mustache, but no, she is one of my biggest supporters. And when I get too in the weeds on things of like, oh man, I don't know if I want to do this, or I'm thinking about doing this, I start stressing out about just creating funny content. She's like, do you think it's funny? I'm like, yes, put it out there. Who cares what anybody else thinks? As long as you think it's funny, that's how you stay real to you. And I'm like, and she's so right, so true. And it's become what it is to this day because of that. And so she's awesome. She's very supportive. She doesn't really enjoy being in the videos anymore now that they've gotten more and more popular, because she's very sweet, but she does not enjoy getting recognized, and especially like being an ER nurse when fire crews come and drop off patients.
Shocker, a firefighter married a nurse.
Oh yeah, especially when crews from all the cities come and drop off patients to her, like, you should hear her sing, and she's like, oh, thanks, great, because she's an amazing singer. And but also whenever we go places, people will be like, they'll recognize her first because she doesn't wear a mustache, it's just her. They'll recognize her first and say something to her, and then they're like, oh my gosh, you're Fenton. And that's been the funniest thing. But I have introduced more content recently without the mustache. It's never going away, but I also don't want to always be married to it. So
just grow one, you sissy.
Oh, dude, if I did that, man, I'd get flagged on the internet to be grabbing their kids. It's creepy. It looks like a Cheeto because my hair used to be red, so it comes in like orange. It's terrible.
Hey, I think that makes it better, though. The worse the mustache is, the better it is.
Oh man, yeah, it would definitely pale in comparison to the greatness that it is.
Yeah,
fake one is.
Yeah, that fake one it's pretty epic. I mean, you see a picture of a firefighter from the 60s, and every one of them looked exactly like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So what? Obviously, you being a new officer yourself, what would be the tidbits of information you would want to give new officers or people wanting to be an officer in the fire service? What info would you give them?
Train a lot. Definitely train a lot. The biggest thing I would say, especially when you get a new crew, is like in that aspect of training a lot, so you know exactly what your people are capable of, where their shortcomings are, where their strengths are. Always push them to go, identify what their goals are early and push them towards those goals and help them to be successful. I think that's the role of any leader, is to find the people around them and build them up to take your spot, or to help them be successful. I think that's the mark. I think that is the greatest mark that any kind of captain or a battalion chief or whatever can have, especially as a company officer, is when, one of your crew members takes that test and they're successful. And it's because you helped them. Obviously they did their own thing, but because you were there to just push them and help them along the way. But also remember that you're working with adults. Don't freaking treat them. Like I've worked for captains in the past that nobody likes the micromanager. And obviously you have to find out who you're working with, because some people need that short leash, but other people, you don't need to. You don't need. They're easy to supervise because they're freaking grown ass adults. Just remember, we're grown ass adults, and I don't know. I feel like there's nothing more morale killing than a leader that doesn't empower their people. So empower them. And yeah, man, I don't know. Stumbled through that answer, but
no, it was perfect.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, man. We talk about that quite a bit on the podcast about setting your people up for success in whatever way, shape, or form. You can do that to help encourage and bring them along. And like you said, eventually those are going to be the people that are going to take your job, because you're not going to be there forever. So do you want to have a hand in getting the people promoted who are going to do great on, why not? Why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
That's Fenton's crew. Great actors, terrible firefighters.
Exactly. That's the thing I told my crew is like, look, and it was funny because my battalion chief, my first shift, he's giving me his expectations. He's like, look, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. He's like, I love your stuff. He's like, but this comes first. And I'm like, it always has, even as a firefighter, it always came first. I never let it get in the way of my job. And as a captain, I will say that has changed. That is one thing that has changed a lot. This is second. I love Firefighter Fenton, but my career is first when I'm at work. That is first and foremost. I respect them. I respect their time. I don't go there and, sorry guys, I got to make this video. You know what I mean? I do a lot. I find plenty of other time to make my content. Not that I ever did it on shift.
Never.
Yeah, sure.
Never did it on shift. So
did you run a call with the mustache on though, like you forgot to take it off when you were filming?
Please tell me that happens.
Stay in character the whole time.
I have never done it with the mustache. I have had the accent. I've done many accents, Australian, British. Oh man. And I've also been called on it too. We ran a call on a patient and I was like, right, who you got going on today? And they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, oh shit.
You got me.
So yeah, I was like, oh, and then step outside. I'm like,
Oh.
Well, brother, seriously, it's been a blast having you on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm glad I made it. I'm glad you messaged me because it might not have happened. I'd be sitting here an hour later going like, where are this guy?
It's all right. We would have just rescheduled. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. So, but you know what? Same thing happened whenever we had Jason on the show. Same thing. And I was like, I said 6. And then I'm sitting here and I was talking to a buddy of mine on the phone and all of a sudden he pops up on like, Jason Patton has joined your, Zoom call. And I'm like, hold on. I'm scrambling. And then it was a whole thing. So, but we got it done. So, but yeah, like James said, man, thanks so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it and keep doing what you're doing. You're hilarious. So
thank you.
Yeah. Love your content. So, do you have any closing thoughts for the show?
Yeah, just for any of you guys watching, these guys do a great show. Take care of yourself, take care of your people. Your mental health is important, because if you don't take care of your own mental health, you can't manage anything else. You can't manage yourself. You can't manage your family, your career. So take care of yourself, take care of your mental health. Don't be afraid to laugh, especially at yourself. And just don't take life too serious. It's like that quote, nobody makes it out alive. So
100% accurate. James, follow up.
No, I've had a blast. It's cool, like when you see these guys, in their social media and whatnot, and like, oh, they're funny, and then you meet the person, the dad with 4 kids, the captain, the husband, like that's what's cool. Like it adds a whole new side. Yeah. It's like watching behind the scenes of a movie, and you just get to know that actor. It's cool.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Brent. We really appreciate it. And for everybody out there, thanks for watching. If you are struggling, reach out. There are resources out there. If you know somebody that's struggling, reach out, let them know you care, let them know what resources are out there, and take care of yourself. And we will see you next time.